Good evening everyone. Welcome to the News Today edition of 1st and 2nd March. My name is Anuj and I will be taking today's session. In today's session, we will be covering 4 main news and 7 quick updates. There is no place or personality in news for today. In the first main news, we will be covering about the US and Israeli airstrikes on the Iran. Then in the second main news, we will be covering about cancer as PM has launched national-wide HPV vaccination drive for the 14 years old girls. Then we will be covering about semiconductors in the third news as the Honorable Prime Minister has inaugurated India's first semiconductor plant at Sanand, Gujarat. Then we will be covering about ethics of AI in modern warfare and defense in the fourth main news. These are the 4 main news for today. Then in quick update, we will be covering about MAVEN mission, Artemis mission, self-replicating RNA, gypsum and eligible manufacturer import scheme, Bureau of Energy Efficiency and Gitchak Nakana. So these are the quick update for today. So this is a brief about today's session. So let us understand every news in detail, starting with the first news for today. So the first news, you might be reading, you might be seeing that Israel and USA have airstrike on Iran. So what are the reasons why they have airstrike, what will be their implication and what is the way forward for India? That all will be covered in this news. It is related to international relation as well as security as well as economy. We will be understanding how this topic is interrelated to security, international relation as well as economy. Let us understand this news in detail. First of all, the development. So here the development is that the US airstrike on Iran under Operation Epic Fury, and which have resulted in the killing of Iran's supreme leader, that is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Okay, so there is a procedure or there is a process where they have supreme leader, they have president as well as prime minister, but the ultimate power holder is the supreme leader. So here they have killed the supreme leader and it has resulted or triggered Iran to retaliate through missiles and drone attack, creating an instability in the Middle East region. So you might be wondering, suppose, okay, Israel is a neighboring country. Let us look at the map. Israel is a neighboring country to Iran. This is Iran. Whenever there is a place which is in conflict, please learn about its location, neighboring water bodies such as Caspian Sea and this area, Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, such type of place you should be very aware about. So here it is Israel. You might be knowing that Israel was once a favorite place for UPSC, where UPSC used to ask about the neighboring countries of Mediterranean Sea frequently, like 2 to 3 times in the last 10 years it has been asked. So our first main concern was, okay, Israel is here, it is somewhat closer to Iran, but what is USA doing? Or why USA have direct conflict with the Iran? That might be the first question in your mind. So here, let us understand about the background of the current escalation. So till 1979, there was a regime which was under the ruler. The name of the ruler was Shah Pahlavi. So most of the Iranian used to think that he was controlled by the Western countries such as USA and UK. So they used to believe that the ruler was the proxy for the Western countries, as his development was on the level of the Western countries, like he was more open-minded and was not connected with the society, and that difference led to the Islamic revolution in the country of Iran, which has overthrown the ruler of that area. But after the overthrow of that ruler, they seized the embassy of USA embassy of USA was seized in the Iran for around 2 years, and there was around 66 US citizens, including the diplomats, that become a very critical point. And even the president of USA in the 1981 lost the election. And when the new President Reagan came in the USA, these embassy people was left by the Iranian student who was the part of this revolution. So that was the first point of escalation between USA and Iran. Secondly, there is a nuclear dispute. Okay, we will be understanding one PYQ related to this news. So it is believed that Iran is enriching uranium. So naturally, we found uranium, and in that only 0.7% of U-35 is there. But if we enrich it to 5%, that can be used for electricity production. And if we enrich it to 90% or above 90%, that can be used for the bombs, nuclear bombs. So that is a concern, that Iran is enriching its uranium content for more than 90%, and in some report it is given that Iran has enriched uranium up to 60%. So related to this development, there was a PYQ in the year 2023. We will be solving that after this news. Okay. Second, this nuclear dispute escalation over the Iran nuclear program, especially after the US withdrawal from the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. So there was a plan of action, but USA withdrawal from that plan of action after that President Trump came to the power in the first term, and there was imposition of sanction on Iran. Thirdly, there are proxy warfare and regional influence. Okay, so especially Iran influence in and around the region of Israel through the proxies such as Hamas and Hezbollah, who are active in the region of Palestine and Lebanon. One of the theories is still there, that whenever a country try to sell it oil and not in the dollars, then there will be attack of USA, because there is a concept of petrodollar. So there is a sign between Saudi Arabia and USA that Saudi Arabia will sell its oil only in dollars. Please be very clear that the largest oil reserves are with the Venezuela, but the largest oil producing country is USA itself, who sells oil in the dollars. Okay, so whenever a country, it might be Syria, it might be Iraq, it might be Venezuela, or now it might be Iran, try to sell oil except with the dollars, then there are threats of the attack of USA. That is also a concern. Okay, now let us move forward and understand the other development in this news. What will be the consequences of the conflict and what will be the implication on the India? First of all, it will lead to regional instability. You might have seen that the retaliation attack by the Iran is there in the Dubai, it is there in the Bahrain. Why it is attacking in these regions? Let us move to the previous slide. So these are the areas where US has military presence. See by yourself that it has their presence in Kuwait, it has presence in Bahrain, it has presence in Qatar. Okay, it has active presence in Djibouti, even China has presence there. So Iran is attacking on the US military presence and indirectly creating the instability in the overall region. Okay, secondly, they have said that they will close down the Strait of Hormuz. This is the Strait of Hormuz, and around 20% of global oil transport from here. So they will close down this region that is known as Strait of Hormuz, and around 20% of global oil transport from there. That's why it will also lead to the change in the prices of the oil, and it will lead to the threat of energy security of the world, and especially to the countries which imports crude oil. And in that, India is there. India import around 85% of its oil need. Okay. Then it will also impact the global trade and connectivity. As this whole Middle East region will be get disturbed, then there will be the chances of maritime insecurity in the Gulf and can increase the freight and the insurance cost. So there will be the increase in the insurance cost, there will be threat to the attack on the freight. So that's why the global trade and connectivity will get hampered, and it will also become costly. Then there will be the nuclear escalation risk. Suppose Iran get access to the nuclear bomb. Countries like Saudi Arabia, they have specifically said that if Iran will have nuclear bomb, we will also have that nuclear bomb. So suppose there are many countries in this region and they are rich as well. UAE is rich, Bahrain is rich due to various reasons, and one of the reason is oil. So suppose Iran get the nuclear bomb, then the other countries in this region will also get the nuclear bomb or the nuclear weapons. That will lead to threat of nuclear escalation risk. So these will be the consequences of conflict in this region. Then what will be the impact on India? So we have already learned that India import around 85% of its crude oil, and it will be rising oil prices can widen the current account deficit and the fuel price inflation. That will be the impact, first impact and the direct impact on India. Secondly, there are around 8 to 9 million Indians in the Gulf region, and especially from the states like Kerala, that will get impacted. Then the remittances and the diaspora safety from this region will also get impact. It will also get hampered, and previously this region used to account for the largest remittance for India, but now it has been replaced by the country USA. Now USA is the largest source for remittance for the India. So such types of facts should be very clear for your prelims examination. So this was all in this news. Now let us discuss one PYQ which is related to this news. And PYQ is from the prelims examination of 2023. And in this, please read down the question. Consider the following statement. And the statement one is, India, despite having uranium deposit, depends on coal for most of its electricity production. This is correct statement. Okay. Our largest source is from the coal, thermal power plants. Then second, uranium enriched to the extent of at least 60%. There are reports that Iran have enriched its uranium to 60%, but the requirement for the production of electricity is not for the 60%. It is enriching for nuclear bomb, not for electricity production. For electricity production, it is all requirement is only of 4 to 5% of enrichment. We have read that in the news. That means second statement is wrong. And if second statement is wrong, then we are left with only one option, that is C or 3, that statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. So this was all in this news, and this was the first news for today. Now let us move to the second news. The second news for today is about the HPV vaccination. And what is the context? Our Honorable Prime Minister have launched the national-wide HPV vaccination drive for the 14-year-old girls. In this news, we will be learning about HPV vaccination, cervical cancer and cancer on a whole. And it is related to paper 1 where syllabus talks about issues related to development and management of health, education and human resources. With this, let us discuss this news in detail. First of all, the development. The development is that the national program will use the vaccine which is known as Gardasil 4, which is a quadrivalent single dose human papillomavirus vaccine to treat the cervical cancer. So it is an HPV vaccine. First of all, only, it is an extreme statement, only cervical cancer is preventable by using a vaccine. Such type of statement can come in the examination. Only this type of cancer, there are many type of cancer, only cervical cancer is preventable by using vaccination, okay, HPV vaccine. And this vaccine, this Gardasil 4 will provide 93 to 100% effectiveness against the targeted HPV types. There are many types of HPV. It will be effective against the targeted HPV types. And this vaccine work against stimulating immune response against the 4 different antigens. What are antigens and how they are different from antibodies? So basically, antigens are the protein or the sugar which tells the body that these are the foreign particles. Okay, and antibodies are the bodies which are produced against the response of antigens. So that is about antigens and antibodies. Before moving further, let us understand about what is cancer. You are not needed to be a doctor to understand about what is cancer. It is very important to understand about what is cancer. So basically, it is uncontrolled, unnecessary, increase in cell by cell division. That is a basic definition of a cancer. Unnecessary, uncontrolled division or the production of cell in the human body by the cell division. Our human body is a very interesting body, or very interesting, it is dependent on many interesting mechanisms such as the production and the dying of cells. If you divide our body or our life into 3 parts, that is childhood, adulthood and the old age. In the childhood, there will be the more production of cells and less dying. In adulthood, there will be the equal number of production and dying, and simultaneously in the old age, there will be less production of cell and more dying. So these division of cell is necessary for the development of the growth of the body and the improvement of the body. That is the essential part. But here it is coming uncontrolled and unnecessary growth of cells. Our body is made of billions of cells. So when there is uncontrolled and unnecessary, and why this happens? So this happens because of mutation in our DNA. So DNA is somewhere in the nucleus of the cell, and if there is mutation in the DNA, it will lead to the cell division, or it will not allow DNA to transmit that information that when has a cell to stop producing more or leading to less division. That is the reason there is development of cancer. And what are the reason for this mutation? It might be stress, it might be smoking, it might be exposure to radiation such as UV and X-rays. It might be due to chemicals. So these are the causes for cancer. So you should be very clear about what is cancer, how does it occurs, and what are the reasons, and what are its symptoms. Its symptoms are tumor or uncontrolled growth of cell. That might be the first symptom. Second, sudden loss of weight. And why does this sudden loss of weight occur? Because this uncontrolled and unnecessary growth of cells will require more amount of energy, and that energy will be fulfilled by the essential parts energy. That means our body also needs some energy to grow and to function, but these cells will acquire that energy which is required by our body. That's why there will be the sudden decrease in the weight. So this is about the cancer. What is cancer? How does it occur? And what are the symptoms? Such types of basic question from the biology sometimes occurs in the prelims examination. Now let us understand this news in the next slide. So let us understand about cervical cancer. We have already understood about the cancer. So cervical cancer is the fourth most common cancer in the women's globally. But in India, it is the second most common cancer in women. And what is the first most common cancer in women? That is breast cancer. Please be very clear. In the world, it is the fourth most common cancer, and in India, it is the second most common cancer among the women's. Then in India, it's account for 25% of global cervical cancer death, and it ranks fourth globally in cervical cancer related morbidity. Last point, it disproportionately affects younger women. And how we can infer that? Because 20% of children who lose their mother to cancer lose due to cervical cancer. So this was about the cervical cancer. Now let us understand about the vaccine, HPV vaccine and the HPV virus. So basically HPV is the name for group of 200 known viruses, and they are sexually transmitted. So basically they are commonly sexually transmitted infection, and they do not cause concern in the most people, but when persistent HPV infection with the high risk HPV type is the cause of the cervical cancer. So basically it is not necessary that every time if a body is infected by HPV viruses, it will lead to cervical cancer, because 90% of the people body control the infection by itself. So only 10% people will get affected by the HPV virus and will lead to cervical cancer. So this was all about this news. Let us discuss PYQ related to this news. The first PYQ is there from the year 2019, and it is a very simple question. Question is, what is Cas9 protein that is often mentioned in the news? Direct news. Okay, so it is a molecular scissor used in targeted gene editing, that is for option 1. Then B, a biosensor used in the accurate detection of pathogen in the patient. Option C, a gene that make plant pest resistant. Then D, or fourth option, a herbicidical substance that synthesizes in genetically modified crop. So the answer is 1, a molecular scissor used in targeted gene editing. Then there is one more question from the year 2010. The question is, with reference to treatment of the cancerous tumors, a tool called the cyber knife has been making the news. In this context, which one of the following statement is not correct? First, it is a robotic image guided system. Second, it delivers an extremely precise dose of radiation. Then it has the capacity of achieving sub-millimeter accuracy. Then it can map the spread of tumors in the body. Okay, so please read about this cyber knife which was there in the news 2010, and please write down the answer. Okay, it won't appear because this development is way past, but such type of questions which are related to disease are coming in the prelims examination. So please read about this cyber knife and what is the answer for this 2010 PYQ. Okay, so with this we have completed this news. Now let us move to the third news for today. What is the third news for today is, it is about the semiconductor plants, and the context is that the PM have inaugurated India's first semiconductor plant. And where it has been inaugurated? It has been inaugurated in Sanand, Gujarat. It is related to paper 3, where syllabus talks about achievements of Indians in science and technology. In this news, we will be covering about semiconductor, what is the significance, what are the challenges for the development of the semiconductors, and what are the government initiative for the semiconductors. Let us discuss this news in detail and discuss the development first. We have already discussed the context. So here, this plant is developed by Micron, which is a US based private firm, and the plant will facilitate assembly, testing, marking and packaging of a semiconductor chips. You might be hearing a lot about semiconductors. In the 2025 mains examination, there was a direct question about the semiconductors as well. Before understanding this news in detail, let us understand about the semiconductors and why they are in the news in a more significant way. So basically, if we go to the basic definition of semiconductor, semiconductor means that it allow and it won't allow the passage of electricity from them. So it might allow, that means it can conduct electricity, or it might not allow the conduction of electricity. Now, why this property of semiconductor is useful? Because what does a computer do? It take down the data, read down the data and infer the results. But how does it take the data? It takes the data in the form of 1 and 0. Binary, in the binary forms, and these can be given as electric signals. If electric signal is passing, that means 1, and if electric signal is not passing, that will mean 0. That is the basic function of computer, that is the basic working of computer, and this is a basic property of semiconductor, that they can pass the current or they cannot pass the current. Before there was development of semiconductor chips, the computer used to have a size of a room, because there was physical switches which used to be put on and off. So suppose this is the room and this is the computer I am using. So there will be the switches all around. Here there will be switches, here there will be switches, and if I want to pass a data, I will physically control the passage of electric current. But the semiconductor pass the current and does not pass the current without moving any physical parts. So that is the importance of semiconductors in the field of computers. Now you might be wearing electronic watches, you might be using phone, you might be using cars, all that have semiconductor chips. That is the importance of semiconductor. And what is the raw material for semiconductor? It is silicon. And where does it found? Mostly on the beaches. That is all about the semiconductors. How does the computer work and the raw material for semiconductors. Now let us understand this news. First of all, what will be the significance for India for development of semiconductor? Supply chain self-reliance. Because for the semiconductor chips, most of the world is dependent on China. It produced around 22% of global semiconductor chip, and if we include the production by the Taiwan as well, it will lead to 50%. So 50% of global manufacturing of semiconductor chips is controlled by China. Then it will have strategic importance. We have already discussed that if we are using an electronic watch, if we are using some electronic device or something which is related to electricity in the today's world, we are using semiconductor chips. That's why it has a strategic importance as well, because it is critical for defense, telecom, it might be 5G or 6G, AI, space and digital infrastructures. Then it has economic and export growth as well, as it will boost the electronic manufacturing and will attract the FDI to the country. And there are other significance as well. It will lead to high skilled employment and support the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So these are the significance for India. Now let us move forward in this news and understand about the initiative taken by the India for the semiconductor industry. So the umbrella program for the semiconductor mission or the semiconductor chip production is India's Semiconductor Mission 1.0 and 2.0. Then there is Semiconductor and Display Fabs scheme. It is for the display fabs. As the name suggests, it is for the production of the displays. Display like this, display like your computer display, display like your mobile display. It is for that. Then there is a compound semiconductor and ATMP scheme. It is for supporting the chips assembly, testing, packaging and specialized semiconductor segment to strengthen the domestic value chain. Then there is design linked incentive scheme. It is there for startups and MSMEs to promote the indigenous chip design and innovation, and it is there especially for the startups and MSMEs. Then lastly, we have also the global partnership as well and skilling initiative, one of which is India's US ISET initiative for critical and emerging technology collaboration. It was signed between the two countries in the year 2023. Then we have a Semicon India platform where we showcase our semiconductor industry to the global world. So these are the initiative. And when we were discussing about semiconductors, we have discussed that the raw material required for the semiconductor is silicon, which is easily available at the beaches. So what are the challenges if the raw material is so easily available? So what are the challenges for the development of semiconductor chips? What are the challenges to overcome? First of all, it required high investment and there is long gestation. That means the profit will come in a long time. That is the first challenge. It is a high investment requirement. It has a high investment requirement. Secondly, it required a lot of technology. If you see the picture of production of the semiconductor chips, they are coming in nanometer size. Now, so you can think about the sophistication required for the production of such type of chips. Then there is a skilling and ecosystem gap in India. So these are the challenges which India has to overcome to produce semiconductor chip in a large amount. So this was all about this news. Now let us discuss PYQ related to this news. So there are two PYQ. One is from the prelims examination and another one is from the mains examination. With reference to the solar power production in India, consider the following statement. India is the third largest in the world in the manufacture of the silicon wafers used in the photovoltaic units. Then second, these solar power tariffs are determined by the Solar Energy Corporation of India. This PYQ is still relevant. I can tell you the answer as well, but please solve this question by yourself. You can look at the answers for the PYQ which are given by the UPSC, or you can search on the Google and try to solve this question. The question is very simple, but it is important for now also, and you will remember for the long time if you solve this PYQ by your own. As prelims is approaching, it is very essential to solve the PYQs. So please read down the question again. It is from the 2018 prelims examination, and the question is, with reference to the solar power production in India, consider the following statement. Option 1, India is the third largest in the world in the manufacturing of the silicon wafers used in the photovoltaics units. Then the solar power tariffs are determined by the Solar Energy Corporation of India. A options are A 1 only, B 2 only, C both 1 and 2, and D neither 1 nor 2. Then there is a mains PYQ as well from the year 2025, that means the last year. And it was there because the government is focusing a lot on the semiconductor manufacturing. And the question was, India aims to become a semiconductor manufacturing hub. What are the challenges faced by the semiconductor industry in India? Mention the silent feature of India semiconductor mission. So we have discussed about the significance that has been asked. We have discussed about the challenges, okay, that has been asked. We have also discussed about the India semiconductor mission. Obviously, we have not gone into the details of it, but we have discussed that it is an umbrella program for the semiconductor manufacturing in India. So this is the mains questions from the last year, and please solve this question from the prelims of 2018. Now let us move to the next news for today and the last main news for today, and it is related to AI and ethics of AI in the modern warfare and defense. It is related to governance, it is related to security, it is related to ethics. But here you can see that it is directly related to the internal security through communication, that the challenges to the internal security through the communication network, role of media and the social networking site. But it is not only there for the GS paper 3, it is also there for GS paper 2, governance. It is also for the GS paper 4, that is ethics paper. Let us discuss this news in detail. First of all, the development. So development is very simple, that there is a body or there is a company that is Anthroponic. It was there in the news because it is producing a lot of AI devices or plugin that are disrupting the industry. That is there on the one side, the company, private company, and on the other side, it is the government of USA. So what the company is saying, that we will provide you the technology, but we will enhance, or we won't provide you its full usage so that you cannot use it against the people for their mass surveillance. That is the statement given by the company. But what government or the American government is saying, that it won't be decided by a private company. So there are two ethical questions here. How can a private body can determine the military rules? Second, is military rules, if there is a threat to the national security, are there not any question related to ethics? That is the basic debate here. That is the background. Now let us understand what the government of USA has done. So United States President has designated this company, AI company Anthropic, as a supply chain risk and ordered the Department of Defense to terminate all the military contact with the firms. So they have said that they are producing a supply chain risk, because this company is saying that we will give you the technology, but we won't allow that, we will provide the safeguard in the technology itself so that it cannot be used for the mass surveillance of the citizen. But US government is saying that how can a private company decide that what should be done and what should not be done? That is the whole debate. And Anthropogenic has refused to allow use of its AI model cloud for unethical mass surveillance or autonomous weapon by the Pentagon. That is the Department of Defense. That is the debate here. Okay, now let us discuss this news further and discuss about the role of AI in the modern warfare and the defense. It is being increased, the role of AI. First of all, how it is used? It is used in the autonomous weapon system, and they decide and they are AI enabled drones and robotic system that can identify and attack target with the minimal human intervention. This is very important, that there is minimal or no human intervention. That's why the question arises of, our machine or will machine will decide that who will live and who will die in a war. That is the first role of AI in the modern warfare and defense. Then it also plays a very important role in intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance, because AI processes large volume of data from the battlefield, satellite, drone and sensors to predict enemy movement and optimize strategy. If you have seen any movie related to war, you might have seen that the commanders will have the map and they will decide the strategy, and they will have all the areas which will be there or risk which will be there on that map and all the related information. But now that work will be done by the AI, because it will accumulate the data and it will optimize the data in a better and effective way. And this has been used by the military attack, US military attack in the Iran. Then it will also help in electronic warfare and the cyber operation, because AI help detect in signals, disrupt the enemy communication and defends the network. So it can also perform this function. And lastly, it will also support the logistics, that where there should be the movement of this equipment, or where there should be the more numbers of soldiers. So that will be done, or that is the significance of AI in modern warfare and defense. Now let us understand about the challenges by usage of the AI in the modern warfare. First, autonomous lethal decision making. Can a AI system decide that who has to be killed or who will live in the war? Okay. Secondly, there will be no accountability gap. Who will be accountable? Suppose there is an attack on XYZ area or a country. Who will be responsible? That the AI system or the company who is producing it, or the engineer who are producing it, or the country which is using it. So there is accountability gap. Then there will be the misuse of personal data. Suppose AI is taking data from a database, and that data from the database is already compromised, then the result or the decision made by that AI based on that data will also get compromised. Lastly, there will be the AI arm race. Everyone will want that we will also have the weapons which will use AI. So what should be the way ahead in the usage of AI in the warfare? First is usage of human in the loop. So humans should decide that what should be the course of action. Okay, there can be the help from the AI for better analysis, but the decision making power should be there in the human. Then there should be the global regulation regarding the usage of AI in the warfare. Then there should be ethical AI. That means there should be transparency, there should be accountability and reliability on the AI. So this is the way ahead, and it will lead to the responsible adaptation of AI in the warfare. So with this, we have completed this main news. Now let us discuss a PYQ which is related to AI, which have appeared in the last year prelims examination. And the question is, consider the following statement regarding the AI Action Summit held in the Grand Palace, Paris in the February 2025. Statement 1, it was co-chaired by India. That's why it was there in news a lot of time. That was the reason it might have been asked by UPSC. So the statement 1 is, it was co-chaired by India, and the event built on the advances made on the Bethkelly Park Summit held in 2023 and the Seoul Summit held in 2024. The statement is correct. Then, along with the other countries, US and UK also signed the Declaration on Inclusive and Sustainable AI. There was a lot of controversy, or there was a lot of news regarding that the US and UK has not signed on the Declaration on Inclusive and Sustainable AI. That means that the second statement is not correct. So the answer will be A1 only. So with this, we have completed the main news for today. Now let us discuss the quick update for today. So the first quick update for today is about the MAVEN mission, which is the closest planet to the Earth. We often think that it is Mars, but please be very clear that it is Venus, the closest planet to the Earth. Now let us understand about the first news itself. The first quick update, the context here is that the researcher had detected a lightning-like whistler radio signal, providing the first evidence of such electromagnetic activity in the Martian ionosphere with the help of data obtained by the NASA's MAVEN. So in this news, we will be understanding about the MAVEN mission. This context is not that important, but this mission is important because it is the first mission devoted to the understanding of the Martian upper atmosphere. Okay, when we divide a atmosphere of the Earth, not the Mars, first it is troposphere, then stratosphere, then mesosphere, then the exosphere, and ionosphere is the part of exosphere. So this MAVEN mission is the first mission devoted to understand of the Martian upper atmosphere, that is ionosphere or the exosphere. It will determine how much of the Martian atmosphere has lost over the time. So there is a process by which there is loss of the Martian atmosphere, and it will determine that how much of the Martian atmosphere has been lost over the time. And it will do by measuring the current rate of escape to the space, because this outer space is very near to the space and it will escape to the space. So it will measure the current rate of escape to the space and gather information about the relevant process to allow the extrapolation backward in the time. It is about the Marvin mission. The second quick update is about Artemis mission. And the context here is that the NASA is restructuring the Artemis lunar program due to repeated delay. Before understanding this news, please be very clear, there is a Artemis Accord as well. And many countries have signed this accord, and India has also signed this accord. Please be very clear about this Artemis Accord. Now coming to the mission, under it NASA will send astronaut on increasingly difficult mission to explore more of the moon for scientific discovery. So one Artemis 1 has been launched in the year 2022. Artemis 2 was scheduled to launch in February, but now it will launch in and around April, and it will fly by the moon. Then Artemis 3 will touch down on the moon with humans. Okay, so this was about the Artemis mission. Now let us move to the next quick update, and the next quick update is about self-replicating RNA. And the context here is that the researchers have claimed to have developed a self-replicating RNA molecule named QT45. As researchers have claimed, and it is not proven, so the context does not become important for us. But here it is important what is self-replicating RNA and what is RNA. So first of all, the self-replicating RNA has ability to copy both itself and the information which has been encoded in the rate and its complementary strand. That is the self-replicating RNA. Now let us come to the ribonucleic acid, that is RNA. So basically it is a nucleic acid which is present in all the livings. It is similar to DNA, but DNA has double strand, but RNA most often have single strand. Okay, that is the difference between DNA and RNA. Okay, and each molecule of RNA is linked to one of the 4 nitrogen base. Okay, that is adenine, uracil, cytosine and guanine. So this was about RNA and self-replicating RNA. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about gypsum. And the context here is that scientists are studying gypsum deposit in the Sala de Pajonal. It is very similar to the Mars surface. That's why they are studying this, and it is there in Atacama Desert, Chile. Atacama Desert is the driest place outside the polar region, and it is a cold desert. Such types of facts are important for prelims examination. Now coming to the gypsum. It is a non-metallic mineral, basically have calcium sulfide dihydrate, and it is formed mainly in arid and semi-arid region through evaporation of seawater or the saline lake. So we have discussed that the Atacama Desert, which is there in Chile, which is a cold desert, is the driest place on the earth outside the polar regions. Then its properties, it is a very soft mineral and crystals are vitreous to pearly. And what are its application? It is used in cement, it is used for manufacturing of plaster of Paris or the fertilizer production. And in India, Rajasthan holds the largest share of the gypsum reserve. Very important fact for prelims examination, that in India, Rajasthan holds the largest share of the gypsum reserve. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the scheme. That the scheme is Eligible Manufacturer Importer Scheme. And the context here is that the Central Board of Indirect Tax and Customer had introduced a deferred custom duty payment facility for eligible manufacturer imported under this scheme. Before understanding this, let us understand about the custom duty. It is an indirect tax implied on the products which are imported from the one country to the another, imported or exported. That is about the custom duty. First, very important point, that it is an indirect tax. Now coming to this scheme, it was launched by CBIC, and it was announced under the budget of 2026 and 27. That means it was announced recently, and its duration will be from year 2026 to the year 2028. And what for this scheme is there? So this scheme is there that the EMIs that are eligible manufacturer importers can clear imported goods without paying the custom duty at a time, but they can pay it monthly as per the deferred payment import duty rules of 2026. That means they don't have to pay all the custom duty at time, but they can pay it in monthly installments. That is the EMI scheme, and its objective is to improve the cash flow for the manufacturers, promoting the compliance, boosting the domestic manufacturing, and enhancing the ease of doing business. So please be very clear, it is introduced by CBIC, it was mentioned in the budget, that's why it become important for your prelims examination, and its mechanism that the manufacturers, that the eligible manufacturer importers does not have to pay the custom duty at once. That was about this scheme. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and the context is that it is commemorate the 25th Foundation Day. In this, we will be learning about the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. So it was established in the year 2001, and it was established as a statutory body under the Energy Conservation Act of 2001. And under which ministry this board is there? It is there under Ministry of Power, and it has its objective is to reduce energy intensity, improve energy security, and mitigate the climate change through the efficient energy use. And there are some programs which are of the BEE, and in this, one is Standard and Labeling Program, second Energy Efficiency Lightning Program, then there is Perform, Achieve and Trade Scheme of 2012. Okay, so they have the objective as well, this program, but this is all about the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Now let us move to the next news. The next news is about the Gitchak Nakana, and the context here is that the researcher have found a new blind aquifer dwelling fish. The name of that fish is Gitchak Nakana in the northeast India. First of all, let us understand what is this aquifer dwelling fish. So basically, aquifers are the groundwaters or the rechargers of the groundwaters. So these fish are present in the aquifers which are there for the groundwaters. It is not found in the ponds, it is not found in the rivers, it is not found in the sea, but in the aquifers. That is the speciality of this fish. It is a blind aquifer dwelling freshwater lodge. Mostly in the groundwater there is fresh water. Then it is blind and it has a complete absence of skull roof. Its brain is enclosed only by skin, and it is a troglomorphic trait, that is, it does not have eyes and adapted to the underground habitat. Basically, it is there in the underground waters, so it have adapted to the underground habitat. With this, we have completed the news today discussion for today. To read further of our current affairs initiative, you can visit digital current affairs website of us, and please solve the question which are visible on your screen. Thank you and all the best for your preparation.